Okay, so we said our purpose was to make a mathematically provable tier list and calculate the trustworthiness tally of AdventureGamers.com. Here is the tier list, and here is the trustworthiness tally. Let's talk about what 12 means. We created a system in which Adventure Gamers is rewarded for agreement and penalized for dissent. But the gaining and losing of points is asymmetrical and highly volatile. When their opinions are aligned with ours, they earn points in units of 5. But they don't simply earn fewer points for slight disagreement, and only in rare instances do they simply fail to gain or lose anything. It did happen, but only twice in 50 reviews. No, when they are wrong, they have points deducted from their existing total in units of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. Ground is lost by increments while it is gained in leaps. Had Adventure Gamers been awarded a full 5 points for every single opinion, their max possible score would have been 250, which makes 12 look frankly tragic. But keep in mind, had they been as wrong as they could possibly be on every count, they'd have a score of negative 240. So 12 is 12. So let's walk through how we got that number, because it involved a handful of judgment calls. In Phase 1, we disqualified Portal 2 because it is absolutely not an adventure game. The question then became, how many points do we dock for that? We could just not tally the game, which is functionally giving it a 0, but keep in mind 0 is actually a higher score than being only slightly wrong. That doesn't seem right. So I explored the multiverse on this one, in an alternate universe in which Portal 2 is not at number 10 on Adventure Gamer's all-time best adventures list. The first game we reviewed would have been Blade Runner at number 20. The Blade Runner adventure game is not, in my opinion, a great game, but it is a fascinating game, and I would have much preferred opening with that than complaining to you about Still Life. For the opportunity cost, we're calling that -2. Our rules for Phase 2 dictated that a game would lose 5 points if it won Game of the Year over a more deserving game, unless the more deserving game won in the other bracket. But is that if any more deserving game won in the other bracket, or the most deserving game? I am a ruthless SOB, so I went with the latter. If a better game won in the other bracket, but an even better game went home empty-handed, -5. So in 2013, Cognition, which we put in B, won Reader's Choice, but Brothers won Staff Pick, and we put Brothers in S. However, Cognition still beat Papers, Please, the first 2 acts of Kentucky Route Zero, and Gone Home, which means Cognition is homophobic. So no disrespect to Brothers, but that's gotta be a -5. Contrast that with Tesla Effect winning Readers the following year, which we put in C, but the Blackwell Epiphany won Staff with no other obvious contenders, so only -2 on that. Stasis won Staff in 2015, beating Dropsy, but Life is Strange won Readers, and I love Dropsy, but it ain't better than Life is Strange. As mentioned previously, the King's Quest reboot beat One Shot, Event Zero, and Alone with You in 2016, and Kathy Rain winning Readers cannot make up for that. Thimbleweed Park won Staff and Readers in 2017 despite belonging in F. Pretty much anything would be more deserving than an F-tier game, but I am particularly miffed it beat The Lion Song. I should be deducting 10 points because it was wrong in 2 brackets, and I am petty. But I'm not that petty. In 2019, I goofed. Somehow got it in my head Outer Wilds won both Staff and Readers, but I was wrong. Whispers of a Machine won Readers. We should have reviewed it. So, real quick, Whispers of a Machine was the second game by the team behind Kathy Rain. It was a sci-fi murder mystery with some stuff about digital immortality, and it was fine. But I had loved Kathy Rain so much, fine was crushing. So had I not done goofed, it would have gone in C with a salt badge. But Outer Wilds won Staff, and is one of the greatest games ever made in any genre, so no reason to even go looking at the eligible games list, right? But I did anyway, and if any game could challenge Outer Wilds for most deserving GOTY of 2019, we didn't review Disco Elysium because we didn't want to make a ruling on whether or not a CRPG with no combat is functionally an adventure game. But Adventure Gamers did make that ruling. And they said it was in the running for the year's best adventure game. And then they decided Whispers of a Machine was better than Disco Elysium. I mean, you can't... I can't let that slide. That's a -5. We didn't like There Is No Game that much, and it didn't deserve to beat In Other Waters or Act 5 of Kentucky Route Zero, and the second Darkside Detective maybe didn't deserve to beat Sable, but I don't feel that strongly about it, and that's the end of Phase 2. The rules for Phase 3, criminally absent games, were that a game would not be penalized if it was in the top 50 of the all-time list, would be rewarded if it won at least 3 Aggies, and would be extra penalized if it won only the Silver Aggie. Full Throttle and Journeyman Project 3 squeaked by with zeros for being in 38th and 46th places respectively, while Loom was damnably placed at 61, which cost AG another 5 points. They lost 5 and 5 again for Kentucky Route Zero and Norco, both having fewer than 3 Aggies, and another 5 for giving Dropsy 0 Aggies, and another 5 for Citizen Sleeper not even being in the running. In fact, they never reviewed it? Citizen Sleeper isn't adventure game enough for you, but Disco Elysium is? Really? Really? They gained back 10 points for adequately recognizing Gone Home and Return of the Obra Dinn with 4 Aggies each, and then lost a walloping 24 for silver Aggieing Tales from the Borderlands, What Remains of Edith Finch, Walking Dead Final Season, and Heaven's Vault. The audacity. Tabulate that all up, and you get 12. So what does 12 mean? Well, for comparison, I went looking for a review source that I would consider reliable. I used to read the AV Club's movie reviews pretty religiously back in the day, back in Obama's first term the day, back in the Keith Phipps, Scott Tobias, Genevieve Koski, Tasha Robinson, special guest Mike D'Angelo the day. So I went back and looked at their best of the year lists starting in 2007 and gave a ranking to every movie I had seen until I had 50, and then scored their opinion against mine by Phase 2 rules. Now, when I say Classic Era AV Club was reliable, I mean that while they were a bit nicer to the movies than I am, often thinking movies were great that were to me merely pretty good, they never told me a movie I would like sucked, and only occasionally, when the director was an auteur and the reviewer an obvious stan, gave an A to a stone-cold piece of dog shit. I will not, today or any other day, be forgiving them for making me pay full price to see the Black Dahlia in the goddamn cinema. But their tastes were aligned enough with mine that they were a useful guide for picking movies. And their trustworthiness tally came out to 76. Out of a possibility space ranging from -240 to +250. Like I said, it's a volatile system. I think getting any 3-digit number would be exceedingly difficult. You'd have to write the reviews yourself. 76 is probably pretty good. So what is 12? Well, by being nominally in the positive, I think 12 means Adventure Gamers was wrong a lot, but was right slightly more often. A little better than a coin flip is not great as a buyer's guide, but is probably ideal for instigating exactly this project from precisely me. So I ain't exactly mad. And if you've enjoyed all this, you should probably be happy as well. Now, I promised a 50-game tier list, but as you noticed, we disqualified one and abstained from reviewing another, so let's get these numbers back up. We should have covered Whispers of a Machine, so let's get that on there. And time of tabulation, I just looked at the last adventure game I played, and Death of the Reprobate goes in B. Not quite as impishly enjoyable as the previous in the series, The Procession to Calvary, but great fun regardless. And that's 50. Now you might be asking, why? Why a tier list? Why all the math? Why apply so many numerical values to aesthetic experiences? Why have points accumulate and diminish by different rule sets? Why prove the reliability of a website? And to that I tell you true, don't worry about it.